Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Davis over at the CFG, and I would like to welcome you to another spoiler cast. Last one we did was about almost 2 years ago. With The Last of Us 2. So I wanted to do another special one with the most recent release of a awesome game that came out on the PlayStation called Horizon Forbidden West. And with me today is the whole CFG Gamecast crew, Lex and Smitty. So how's it going, guys?
Pretty
Doing
good.
well. Yeah. Excited to
Awesome.
talk about the game and you know go through all that stuff. So it's been there's a lot to get into.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Big time, big time, big time. Yeah, and yeah, so we'll get this started. But before we get started, just want to let you know if you want to check this out, it's going to be on all podcast services out there where you're not doing. We don't usually do these as a live stream. It's just like a nice, relaxed situation where we can just figure it out and just go with the flow. So if you're wanting to listen to this, go to any podcast service. It will be there, or go to our main website, confreaksandgeeks.com, to check out this awesome special. So before we get into the dive into what Horizon Forbidden West is for each of us, I just want to kind of get a quick synopsis of what Forbidden West is itself. So Horizon Forbidden West is the sequel to the original Horizon of Horizon Zero Dawn, and it leaves off as you playing the main character Aloy, trying to go in search of the West, because this is 6 months later from when the initial Zero Dawn story came, and she's still trying to find something specifically. She's trying to find the the Gaia program so she can bring everything back into the way it's supposed to be, like, monitored the way it's supposed to be, because the initial Gaia program from Zero Dawn destroyed itself, so it could so there was going to be a standing chance for survival for the human race. So now she's trying to fix all of that. So through that whole process is like she goes all the way to the West, figures out goes fight some new crazy demons or crazy machines and stuff like that, and then also finds new secrets that she has to overcome with new sets of tribes. So uh all in all, like, would you best describe this game as meaty? Because it pretty much is a meaty game.
Yeah.
It's a super meaty game. I mean, the overall map alone is absolutely enormous in general, and not only that, but it's completely filled with activities, side quests, little missions, little mini games within it. It very much resembles the first one. I feel, but even bigger, and you really get a sense of different locales as you move further west, which is really enjoyable on my part.
Yeah, I so it was so meaty, and my worst gaming trait came full force when I started it. I am a grab every resource that you can kind of person. And a lot of the times it screwed me. Davis and I were kind of chit chatting prior to this, about picking the berries before a fight, when in reality, you take what you have, leave those as a just in case. And, you know, this game, I had the guides on. If you are not familiar with me, I am a disabled gamer. I've had 4 brain surgeries and I am light sensitive, meaning white text in game, especially with a nature background, is a lot harder for me to see. When I was inside, during certain parts of the games where I was indoors, with like natural light shining in, I could see those things a lot easier. However, that started to become a problem for me. And I would say for a game that was so disability accessible, I wish I could have changed the color of the guide that was helping me throughout the game. That was my one gripe, that I feel like they could have added that, and it would have been so simple. And the color for other things was, a lighter color, but something I could visibly see. But the little guide arrow, I would find myself spinning in circles trying to find my arrow as to where I was going. So yeah, it was definitely a very meaty game, and I really had to stop myself from picking up every stick and freaking rock that I came across because I didn't need it.
Oh man, it's kind of funny. It's like, well, for me, I like it's the same way. Like, yeah, I'm pretty much a kleptomaniac when it comes to those kind of games. When you just gotta pick it when it gives you the option to pick it up, you pick it up. Like I was horrible in what's it called, Elder Scrolls games. I'm just like, oh, you pick up books. It's like you don't even need to pick. I was like, I don't even need this book, but I just keep on taking it and stuff. But yeah, the game and just like overall flat out just gives a like vastness of like just the resources and the systems of like the systems that are currently out there that it gives you that it presents you, just gives you the option to just say, hey, you want to pick it up, but then they'll
Right.
tell you it's like you may want to leave it there just in case, because you're going to be fighting this ridiculous robotic dinosaur that's going that can terrorize you, and you may need as much help as you possibly could get, you know.
Right.
So yeah, but like that was a fun, it's a fun experience overall. But with what you got, but then you get to these points, and this is the one thing I hate about open world games. It's because like there's so much to do, that you do so much that you feel like you're not advancing at all in the
Mm-hmm.
story. And that's and I mean, and I kind of feel that's what this game is like because people complain about games that are linear,
Mm-hmm.
and and then but when it's really linear, it's like it should be linear, because you don't want to give the gamer massive choice. If you
Mm-hmm.
do, then I mean, if you do, then the world could be too big for you, could possibly be too big. And this is exactly what it was for me for Horizon. It's like, because like was like, I like to play like just by default for me personally, like the way I like to play these games is I like to play in the hardest difficulty, and I like to play this on and I just like to see like just scroll from point A to point B and do things. But when you see a green exclamation mark tells you, hey, you need to do this quest, the side quest, and then you just go into this new rabbit hole of like, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. It's like and then just experiencing all this up, then you're like, oh, I gotta clear the map. And then it's like, oh, you're in these cauldrons, you have to clear those cauldrons so you can get control of these monsters and stuff like that. It just opens up a whole Pandora's box of it. And I think this game kind of got me in spinning in that direction. And it's not a bad thing, but it's like, at the same time, it's like it did veer me off the path of trying to finish this game a long time ago. I mean, I don't know if y'all experienced that too.
Well, I mean, I did not completely finish the game. I still have stuff to do, and I think that is the biggest challenge for me in a game like this. I already have difficulties in open world games specifically for that reason, because there's so much stuff to do. I can't help but to do those things, because then I feel like, oh, I might be missing a little bit of story, or what if I miss this weapon that I need to get that's going to end up
FOMO.
helping me at the end. Exactly. So it's
Yep.
like, and for me, very much in a game like this, I like to I have to take my time and just enjoy the experience, to try to burn it out. And I was trying to, but I felt so empty playing it and going through trying to play it like that. I didn't feel like I was getting the story in totality and getting the true experience, because there's so much to discover. There's so many little nooks and crannies to go into there. And then, again, I'm enjoying, of the story. I'm enjoying what I've experienced. But it's hard to try to put a hard burn on a game like this. This is very much a game that you take the time to play it and experience it, because it really is absolutely stunning and gorgeous. And I just want to say on what Lex said earlier, I too had difficulty. Some of the lighting with some of the text was really like you couldn't see it. It was literally white on white,
Mm,
uh,
mhm.
based off of the lighting, based off the sun and stuff like that. So, like, I would say there's definitely something left to be desired in terms of that. And then you said you went in, didn't even have an option to change it. So I would say criticism wise, that definitely would be a point for me. Something I really, really enjoyed about this was just there's so much diversity in this cast of characters, and I love the fact that there is so much diversity, not only in the tribes and what's going on in their lives, but it's legit, the world restarting over, and there are going to be a mixture of people, and I feel like throughout the game you get a good mixture of people, and then just being able to revisit some of the old characters from the first game was really, that really, it was nice to be able to have those moments with some of those characters and be able to experience this new adventure, in this new setting, in this new scenario, and being able to directly take place from after that first one to where we are now. There was a little bit of lack of, I guess what I'm feeling is not necessarily like buy-in, but just reclaiming that same feeling I had when I played the first one, because there's been so much time that
But you
has
didn't really play
passed.
like
Huh?
yeah, but it didn't take you played the first one not that long ago, right? Like, didn't you
No,
just recently beat
no,
it?
no, no, no. So I had beaten the first one years ago when it first came
Mhm.
out. And then I had gotten a DLC. I just never finished it. I had like maybe like two missions left. So I went and did those missions. But there's definitely a disconnect from the first time I played and the feelings that I have, to where I even kind of found myself, with Aloy at times just being like, oh, you're kind of being a little pushy here. Like, take it easy. You're not that charming Nora. Everyone's just like, and you're kind of naive and this and that. It's like, and like rightfully so. She's got definitely has more authority than she did when she was first discovering and learning things. But like, I I don't know. It kind of rubbed me weird. I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about that.
It's kind of weird though, because like when I think about it, because Aloy was technically an outcast, and she
Right.
the only person that really acknowledged her was the person who was raising her. I believe what was her name, what was his name, Roth or something like
So
that,
yeah,
or
yeah.
Ross, yeah, Ross or so. And it's like, so I kind of like I kind of see how this game was trying to be like, you need to let people in, Aloy. People can help you. It's not just
Right.
you it's not just you over you versus the world.
Right.
You got like, yes, you are the person that can see things that other people's can't. But at the same time, it's like you are not an army of one for this situation. It's like it can't
Right.
be just you to deal with it. So I can kind of see where that kind of comes where it comes down to the mix of it.
Yeah.
But like I think overall though, like the storytelling, I don't know. I was kind of drawn apart of with the storytelling on this. So I mean, it wasn't bad, but at the same time, it was a bit drawn out, and it was and then I could see easily the confusion when they were adding a little bit more towards it. So, I mean, I mean, I personally think the story is way better than Last of Us Two. You already know I was a big fan of the story of Last of Us Two,
Hmm.
but like this one, I'm kind of impartial. I kind of don't know the full feeling of what to expect on this, because like I think what I like more about this game is the gameplay rather than more on the story itself, because of the diversity that it brought. I mean, what do you think, Lex?
So it's funny that you say that. I feel like in The Last of Us 2, as far as the storyline, we got information that was pertinent to the continuation of that storyline, right?
Mhm.
Whereas in this game, now I didn't get to experience the first game as me playing it. I was kind of watching behind someone's shoulder them play it, and I saw it through their gameplay, so I never got the ability to play the first one. However, with the second one, and keep in mind I do have a lot going on in my personal life, and I felt it was hard for me to focus at times because it
Hmm.
it just felt like I was getting information that I didn't really need to know. right?
Mm.
And so I kept thinking, well, maybe I'm doing side quests that aren't really pushing me towards the end goal. And so I tried to stop doing so many side quests where I was helping people and I was the savior, so to speak. Um, I didn't feel that Aloy, I felt almost like she was disconnected. I
Mhm.
mean, from the beginning, you learn that she kind of took off on a party that was meant for her. And so I got the feeling that she, even though she now fits into society and is no longer really an outcast, that she still doesn't feel that way. She feels like the world is a burden on her shoulders. And to somebody who sometimes feels like that, I relate. But there were three options when you were having character to character talkings, how you could respond to someone, right? So somebody from her past, you could answer, and they set it up and they explained it. You could use your brain, which was more of a logical answer. You could use your fist, which was more of an aggressive answer. Um, or like kind of, almost like you're fighting with them, right? Or you could use your heartfelt responses. And I want to go back and play as different responses than what I gave the first time to see if that gives me
Mhm.
a different experience. I gave more heartfelt answers. A lot of the times you are, as a woman, by yourself in this dystopian world, and I was almost scared to answer aggressively or logically in what their response would be. Like, would this end up me being having to fight this man by myself? How would they respond to it? And it was interesting. I sometimes felt like I was having interactions that didn't necessarily need to happen, that it didn't really push the story forward for me. And I'm kind of a person that's like, all right, get to the point. Tell me what I need to know and take out the fluff, right? Sometimes I'm not interested in fluff. And while I was playing this game, I really wasn't. Not to say that the interactions that I had I didn't enjoy. I just felt as though I didn't need to hear it. It didn't pertain to what my end goal was, right? And that's kind of how I felt. For the majority, I tried to stop doing side quests to really get to the end of it, to get to the meaty parts, because I kept wanting more as I was playing, which is always what you want in a game, right? You want more. What is my end goal here, right? And so,
I
yeah, go ahead.
it's kind of funny. I was gonna say like the thing I was had to wait. I decided to put my foot down was the what was the name of that board game that
Machine
like
Strike. I
Oh
love
my
Machine
yeah,
gosh.
Strike.
Machine
It's so
Strike.
much fun. It's so much fun. And you get to
I was
collect pieces and then like, oh yeah, no, no,
this game like that's I don't know that if this is a strike or a negative to it. I'm kind of
Uh-huh.
also very impartial about this, but there are so many different kinds of like small mechanics that are in this game, like the like you're saying, the side story with Machine Strike. So that means like you got to collect all the pieces. Now you got to catch them all for all the
it's
pieces
a
with that.
collector's paradise. This game is a
It
collector's
is.
paradise.
It
Straight
really
up.
is like yeah, it really is. And then like you were saying, like you had the optional like the here's your choice that you can do. You can give them a logical choice, you give them a heartfelt choice, or you can give them just a rude choice or whatever. Like they had those systems, but it wasn't like very pertinent. Like they were very specific spots where they told you talk of it this specific way. And it's just sprayed a little bit in there though too, as well as just the everything else, the whole system. Because like I feel that this game it has a balance that you have to do certain side stories, not all the side stories, but some of them to kind of get the full story of effect of what you're trying to do to get
Mm-hmm.
to the end of the game. And but I think it does a poor job to kind of lead you to give to care to try to get those side stories, because like if you don't do some of those side stories, you're not gonna get certain weapons like
Right.
early on.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
then yeah, and it's like okay, why do I care? Because like when you get the introduction of this person, it's like, oh, we want you to do this for us. You're like, okay, why should I even freaking do this? I just want to go
Right.
point eight, just let me go to the next set and go on. I think it does a poor job kind of letting the player know that you should do this because you're going to get a really good incentive for you to do to get this. And then like when you because when you do get some of the things, like there's certain weapons like the lance, the lance that you get, the javelin that you get,
Mhm.
Hmm.
can kill things so much faster,
Yeah.
the like a lot faster in an early at the early age or early stage than what you would have done if you just naturally just bought it, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, so then but like yeah, it's just that's the one thing that really kind of got to me. It's like, oh, okay, so that is clearly FOMO at that
But
point.
I have
Right.
a question for you. Did you play with the guide on or did you not?
I wait, which is the guide?
So you have the option in the disability area or
Mhm,
accessibility area, I'm sorry,
mhm,
to put a guide on to keep you kind of on track and where you need to go. The guide would tell you, like, it would give you a secondary guide, and you're like, wait a minute, but this is the way I'm supposed to go, but you're giving me a guide to go this way. Those were the side quests that then would give you what you needed. And it took me a little
Oh.
bit to figure that out. Pissed
mhm.
me off they didn't tell me that part, because a couple times I ignored it and I didn't have the weapon that I needed. And so I would then have to go and trade. And I had to Google, like, what am I supposed to trade? What am I not supposed to trade? Like, this says I can trade for money,
Mhm.
but do I need that later? Because again, I'm someone who likes to pick up items, and that's from
Everything.
my Monster Hunter World days. Like, you pick up everything. You're gonna need
Mhm,
it eventually, but in this game, you didn't. Not really. And I found also I liked the guides. I wish the guides would have pointed me to where my chest was. So when you got to like a village, you had a chest of all your things that didn't fit on you that they would store for you. I
Yeah.
don't
mhm.
know why, but the
Stash.
guide, right, the guide wouldn't tell me where that was. And sometimes I would find myself, I'm like, I just saw it like 2 minutes ago, and I'm circling buildings trying to find
Mhm.
it and retracing my steps. And that was a little bit frustrating. Again, I also couldn't change the color of the guide. So several times I would be spinning around trying to
Right.
find the damn thing. Like, where did it go? It said it was at 600 steps away. And you have the option to ride uh to
Mhm.
get to certain areas, and sometimes I feel like I'm only 200 steps away. Like, why the hell am I going to jump on something when I'm just going to have trouble driving it anyways, and I can just run there, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Mm.
I
Mhm.
also found it really hard to use the little packs so that you could fast travel. Multiple times I would try to do it and it wouldn't, and
Oh,
Oh.
I
just press R2. That's all you have to do. You just like when you go to the fire when you go into the main map, you just
yeah,
go select another fireplace. But you need to go to a fireplace
right,
that you've discovered. If you did not discover the fireplace, then you can't travel there. Or you
right.
can go to big cities.
And I
You just press R2 on
understand
them.
that, but it was like that mechanic for whatever reason was hard for me to see, and it wouldn't let me. I'm like, I know I've been here and I've already discovered this. Why won't you let me fast travel? So I'd be like, ah, screw it. Oop. And I would just ride there. I'm like,
I
forget
think
it.
the default button for fast travel is weird. That's what I think though, because R2 is kind of like because like the only reason why I remember it is because I had to like why is it not working when I'm pressing X, and then
Right.
I look down the bottom right corner, you know,
Yeah,
Oh
and then I
yeah.
was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's like, oh, it's
I
R2 to
agree.
do that, yeah,
Hmm.
so yeah, so I can understand. What were you gonna say,
Oh,
Smithy?
I, for me, and this is specific to the PS5, I was a little disappointed in the haptic feedback and what they could have done. I feel like there's
Yeah,
way more they could have done just from
Oh,
the
totally
pull of
agree.
really?
the you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I wanted to be able to feel that tension, and I feel like
Yeah.
there was a lot of missed opportunities within it. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, there were some nice areas where they utilized it, but like I felt like there were a lot more areas and things that they could have utilized the
Mm.
haptic feedback in.
Well,
Yeah,
Mhm.
and let's be
No, you're totally
clear,
right.
the boys played it on the PS5. I was on the PS4.
right.
So
Remote.
their haptic feedback experience was definitely different than mine, and I'm a little jealous.
Well,
So,
it's not even. Well, here's the thing, though. You shouldn't even be jealous because no, Smitty is absolutely right because I feel that they barely used haptic feedback
At
technology in this
all.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was like, because like, no, you're totally right, because like like you would like, I was assuming bows, like you're saying, the simple stuff would have been like a bow stretch and then the
Easy.
feel of the deal. They didn't even do that. Like they
Right.
just all you felt was just the rumbles of maybe the rumbles of like nearby people, things coming in and stuff.
Right.
But
Mm.
like, yeah, they were very late, like very lazy on it, I would say.
And
So no, I wouldn't feel jealous in any way
okay.
from it.
See, and I usually turn off the vibration on my controller because a lot of games overutilize that, I feel.
Mhm.
In
Mhm.
this one, I had it on because I assumed that if something's coming from behind me and I don't have my focus on, which I'll be honest, I didn't utilize it enough. That's my bad. But it was
You
also
use the
hard
focus.
for me to see with the focus because it was almost like purple and gold. I don't know if it was the same
Mhm.
Mhm.
color for you guys, but it was
Yeah.
purple and gold, a little hard for me to see the small little gold things here and there, but I would turn it off because in certain areas the lighting was so bright it was hard for me to see. And
Mhm.
so I assumed I would feel a vibration if something is running up behind me and I didn't feel that.
It
And
just
Right.
that
seems like the accessibility
frustrated me.
options. It just seems like
Yeah.
accessibility options just was there wasn't enough
Lacking.
accessibility for you to use. So
Agreed.
that's what it sounds like. Because like from what you're experiencing it, because it just seems like the I think the big issue was the color codings
Yeah.
from that for your experience. So that, I mean,
Mhm.
that's one thing that they could definitely improve on from it. And to answer your previous question, no, I didn't use the helping guide or the help guy. I did all the stuff on my own.
Ah,
So like yeah, so
I
like
get it.
So you didn't get
yeah,
like the
well,
yellow, like when you put your focus on, did it still show you like the yellow things that you can jump to?
Me?
No, no, no,
yeah.
Oh,
Davis.
oh okay.
Wait, what?
When you
What do you mean?
when you put your focus on, could you see like the yellow markings that indicate where you can jump to?
Oh, like if you press R3 and then it just
Yeah.
shows you the jump points. Yeah, I was still
Okay.
able to do that.
Well,
Yeah.
and for
Yeah.
me too, and I know that there's been a bit of a conversation about that and just games kind of holding your hand, and I feel
Mhm.
like it almost felt like that with this game. Just being able to see that, it at least give me an indication as to where I should be going or possibly could be going, which I felt was
Right.
kind of like a tip. And I wasn't sure if it was just because I played it on normal. I wasn't sure if that was just like a normal thing or if
No.
it's just in general. I mean, this is Rock Climber 2.0. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Which the parkour in it and stuff like that is really cool. And that is part of the fun of the game is being able to do that stuff. But a lot of it is dependent on getting the areas, is being able to figure out what you can jump to and scale or whatever. And I felt like with those indicators, it kind of gave you, it would be a lot more challenging without those indicators. Uh,
Oh, big time.
yeah, and
And
I
see, what's funny is I feel like I have the total difference. I could barely find the freaking places where I was supposed to go. Like in that beginning scene, when you're supposed to look up and find them, half the time they wouldn't show up until the third spin around. And it's like,
It's
I
subtle.
looked at that spot 5 freaking times, and now you're gonna tell me that I can jump there? This is BS. And I was getting so frustrated. I'm like, if this is gonna be how it goes forward, I'm gonna be screwed. I'm gonna end up spending hundreds of hours on this game because I couldn't find a freaking foothold. But
right.
eventually it started to like be a little easier, but looking
Mhm.
up was a freaking it was a nightmare for me. If I had to look up and try to find something, I would look at it 5 times. I'm like, that looks like where I should go, but it's not letting me. Wait a minute, let me turn my focus back on, and I'd spin around slowly 5 times, and there it is, the freaking thing I've been looking at this whole time.
I'm just glad
Stop
that
it.
there was parts where there was parts where I was like, I'm glad that they did do it, because like I mean, you can traverse a lot. I mean, they give you a lot of
Yeah.
places to move around, but there are places where you can't. And I'm glad that they actually give you those footholds and tells you where they are. And I don't consider it to be like a help guide, because technically the way I look at it is that it's the focus telling you where you can climb, is the
Right.
way I look at it. So so yeah, I think that some of those points of I can't. Sometimes there's parts when she is climbing that she seems kind of slow or klutzy, or when you need to jump to another side, she
Yeah.
just sits there, and it drives me insane. It's like jump,
Oh
or
my
what's even
god.
worse. what's even worse is like when you're fighting something and then you're trying to run away and you try to jump on the rock, but you didn't jump on it at the right angle. So you're
Mhm.
climbing on the side and you're just like clamped on the deal and you're telling her, let go. Let go. Yeah, that kind of stuff. It's like I was
Yes.
getting, yeah, because I was fighting what's it called? A thunder jaw. And then
Uh,
Oh
I was like,
no.
those things have like freaking laser beam like
Yes.
censored missiles and stuff, and
Ugh.
I'm like, and I didn't take it out, and I'm like, oh my god, and like I climbed off on
Uh-huh.
the clamp like this. I'm like, okay, we need to run, get off, get off, get off, and then it's like I finally jumped. Luckily, the last time when it aimed at one of the spots, I got
Mhm.
hit. Took out like almost all my health, and I was so mad. I was like, this thing was gonna die if I didn't do stupid crap like that, And then like so yeah, there's times where the some of that climbing mechanic really could get you some of it. So I will give it
I have
that.
a question. Did you guys have times where you would press because you use the D-pad for certain things like little like landmines, if you can see their like where their trajectory is, like where they're gonna walk,
Yeah.
you can kind of set one up for them.
Uh-huh.
Um I would press the up button because that's what you use to heal, and there would be times it would not work. And then I'd have to start the fight over because it would refuse to let me heal, even though I'm full of berries. There's
I
nothing
never
stopping it, and it wouldn't heal me, and it was so frustrating. I'm like, "Do I need to hold it down? Do I not need to hold it down? What is happening
I think
here?"
there's a little bit of a cooldown.
yeah,
Ah,
there's
I
a little
think
bit of
there's
a
a
cooldown
slight
for it, but
cooldown. Yeah, I feel like I experienced that a little bit too, but I think it was because I was sitting there mashing on it and I had already taken one and like it didn't go back. Just like fucking
well, and
heal,
I
just
thought that
heal.
too. There was times where there was no cooldown. It was my first time healing, but I'd taken
Uh,
such a big hit that it was like, if I get sneezed on, I'm
yeah,
dead and I'm gonna have to start this over. And it wouldn't heal me, and I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. I even Googled that at one point, and Adam was like, I don't understand what's going on here. I'm like, I don't either. Like, I pressed the button and now I'm having to start over because it sneezed on me and I died.
right.
Excuse me.
to be honest with you, I never experienced that. Like when I press the heal button, it does heal me. Well, unless if I don't have any berries.
Must be nice.
But but like other than that, I mean like dude, the monsters though in this one was really crazy. You know what's funny though? Like in the original one, because since Smitty watched the original one, played the original one too. It's like you had some of the only one monster that kind of came back. That kind of came back in this one was the Snapjaw, which was the alligator, and and the Watchers. Like, but the Watchers don't come in immediately. You have these stupid like mongooses that are just going after you, these gigantic mongooses. But like to see a mechanical hippo to is one of them, and like that, yeah. Did you see Triceratops and like viper, like a giant
Yeah,
snake and stuff?
that's
Oh, I hate
cool.
Uh,
That was
them.
cool.
yeah, yeah, to see all these different the variety of different monsters that they switched into this one was pretty cool. I will definitely give it
Yeah,
that. And that
it's
then you could
creative.
like have the chance, yeah, you could ride the raptors like
Mhm.
and stuff. So oh, and that I guess that's another thing I really did like about it is that the cauldrons were completely optional if you wanted to
Right.
do it. I,
Yep.
far be it from me on why you would ever want to skip these cauldrons,
Yeah, yeah.
but but if you do, you can.
Right.
You can, but yeah, because
Oh,
like I love that they give you that choice into mixing all of this. So
question for you guys. So you do get to hunt the wildlife in the game.
mhm.
How hard was it for you guys to shoot a squirrel? Because
Not that hard.
I would see them for a split second, and I'm this close to my TV watching it on
Mhm.
4K, and oh, it drove me nuts trying to find
Are you
get the
good with
I
bow
would
squirrels
and
just tag
quick
arrows?
them,
ever.
Yeah, I just tag them too. I
and
just
then
did
you could
like
see their outline, and then like I don't, you don't even have to look at them. As long as you got line of sight, you know what I mean. There's nothing in front of it
It wouldn't
that
let
could
me
like a
tag
hill or anything
them.
like that, huh?
Yeah,
yeah.
I tried tagging them and it wouldn't let me
I would just
Attacking.
say
because they were gone
tagging.
so fast.
Oh,
Like
tagging them. I'm
by the
sorry.
time I
Yeah,
got to tag, but by
yeah.
the time I was able to have the option to tag them, they were already gone. So it took
Mm.
Well,
me
you can't really
forever
be.
to find squirrels. Like I literally spent 3 hours just searching for squirrels in
Yeah.
an area where I had killed all the mongoose. I was
Jesus.
just looking for freaking squirrels because I needed a squirrel bone for
Yeah.
Just
upgrading my pouch.
just you go in the distance. Just like, I mean, you tell me in the distance, like you can shoot a bow, like I mean, like well, there's certain areas. Most of these, I will say this, animals are in distinct areas,
Yeah.
Yes.
so they're not
They're
just
not
like
everywhere.
anywhere.
No.
Yeah, so you have to make sure you're in the right area, because
Of
like the one
course.
thing I was looking for was like an owl wishbone or whatever, and I was like, where
Oh,
the
I
heck do
never
I find
found
an
it.
owl? Yeah, it's in the
Never
north.
found it.
It's in the
Ah.
sky deal, and I was like, oh, okay, so because like I was like, oh shoot, there's like 30 owls here, so you see me just doing just all over them. It's like knocking them all down, and then just like finally picked up so many of them. But yeah, and then yeah, but yeah, it's just a matter of just tagging them in a good distance and using your crossbow or your short bow and everything, and just have
Yeah,
at it.
that was the difficulty that I really had for somebody who can't see very well. Finding the
Mm.
squirrels was
It
the
is a small
hardest for me.
target.
I
Yeah.
and like by the time like I was able to tag them, they were already gone, so it was pointless. And then if I tried to chase them, of course they
Mhm,
run faster than I do. They're gone. The boars were easy for me. A lot of the times they'd end up running at me and then see
mhm.
me go and try to turn around and then
So
you know,
the lizards like the scorpions or the
oh
horned
screw
lizards
that.
and stuff from the.
Oh my
Okay,
god. That took me
yeah.
forever
You
too.
said not even.
I was
how
like,
far?
"You know what? It's fine."
Yeah. Well, how far have you gone, Smitty? Like overall, like are you like in the second, at
I'm
least in the second area?
I'm in the second. So like I just the part that I got to was where we just restored Gaia and she basically gave me the lowdown and we basically got our Legend of Zelda quest where we have to restore three of the sub functions back to her and then we lay out the plan to get Hephaestus and then overall and then Far Zenith is the big thing and we got it, she gave me a background on them as
Yeah.
well. So like I'm definitely like oh snap, like let's go. Like yes, I need to know. I need to know more. And I'm excited too. I know that Vegas is one of the spots as well, so I'm excited to check that out. But I was just
It's
like,
Vegas
so
is
cool.
funny.
I can't
yeah,
wait till you see it.
that was
Yeah.
the
You
that
gotta
was
text
the
me.
moment though that I realized I was like, there's no way I'm getting through this game. Like
Yeah.
I was sitting there trying
Oh
to burn
no.
it, dude. And I was just like, there is no
You're so close. You're so close to finishing.
That's crazy. But like
You
but
uh,
really
at the same
are.
time, like I feel incomplete because I'm just
I
like
oh,
know.
there's so many little markers of
Mhm.
side quests that I can't
Smitty,
ignore.
Smitty, like okay, so like, and I will tell you, this is how crazy it was for me on the side quest. So when you first came in and you got Gaia, you were probably like level 18, maybe 19 or something,
I think I'm like
right?
17 or 18, I
Yeah,
think.
17,
Yeah.
18, you're right. Yeah, then it tells you, okay, you need to go to this area. They gave you two of the three locations, and
Yeah.
one was 17 and the other one was 22.
Hmm.
So like I arrived in the area around that same level. When I left the second mid area, I was level 51 because of
Holy
all
crap.
yeah, because of all the side quests, all of the all of the different things that you had to come and collect and stuff.
Wow.
Yep.
I became a steroid driven machine that
Yeah.
was less like that was just going out, and then plus I'm also trying to get the secret equipment. So like the secret equipment
Oh.
I
itself,
didn't get
like
it.
yes, oh yeah, yeah. So I'm trying to get everything towards it. So
Yeah.
because there was like now I almost am able to one hit any monster now,
Yeah.
like almost even the giant freaking turtle
That's
that thing.
crazy.
Yeah, so like yeah, but that's the kind of thing that's what happens in most of these open world games. It's like I just have to get them all.
Yeah.
But like overall though, like I said, the feel of it like the base quests of what you're needing to do and what you're needing to get is definitely there. I don't know how long did it take you to beat Lex the game?
I'm almost at 50 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I started doing the side quests as I got around where you're
Near the end.
talking is where I went from like level 18, 19, and then all of a sudden I was in
Mm-hmm.
the 50s and
Mm-hmm.
it was I Honestly, I felt like at that point, like upgrading my stuff obviously was necessary, but I felt like it was kind of cumbersome, if I'm being honest.
Mm, mm-hmm.
I didn't get the secret equipment. I didn't know that there was secret equipment. I didn't get it. I don't
Yeah,
think.
you have to go do certain things, like you have to go fight in the pits, you have to do the
Oh,
arenas, and you have to
yeah, I
do the
didn't wanna do
trials,
that.
Yeah.
I was trying to
stuff like
finish.
that.
I was at that point, it was so late at night. I was like, "I have to stop at some point," and then the next day, I was like, "Is it necessary for me to do this?" And then I found out the answer was no, not really. You
Right.
can
Most,
continue. And I was like, you know what?
uh,
I need to beat this. I need to know what's up at the end. Obviously, there's going to be twists and turns and curves, and I need to figure that out. Because at that point, I was like, you know what? I did do this a bunch of side quests. I've leveled up. I'm good. I need to know what's happening. Because at
Right.
that point, I was so curious that I couldn't wait. I'm impatient. At some point in a game, especially when it's story driven, I am impatient and I have to freaking know what's going on. You know what I
mm.
mean? And at that point, you'd figured out that what you had been told previously was a lie, and this was the actual thing that happened. And so it was kind of, I needed that information and I needed it now, if that makes sense. And so I was just at that point like, all right, let's go. Let's kick these dudes' asses and let's get to the end.
I just wanted to get like what's called like I said, I just wanted to be a thing where it's like, don't touch me. I'm like RoboCop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will strike you down.
Oh
Don't
no,
even look at me wrong.
yeah, no, I
Exactly.
totally get that. I just
Give
I,
it a
I
shift
don't
dive.
know. I felt like, I already knew that I wasn't going to end up 100%ing the game. I just did not have the time with what's
Mm,
going on in my personal life. So I knew that for this I needed to know what happens, and I had to keep
mm.
going.
No, no, I know, but like the whole thing, like overall though, like I just think that the game definitely. I don't know. Now the real question is, I mean, this may not be really for you, Lex, since you haven't played the original one. Like compared to like the first one and this one, Smitty, like, do you feel that like how do you feel like for a sequel for the game? Like, are you satisfied, or do you feel like kind of impartial, like for what you've been playing? Like, do you think like it was worth the 5 year wait, like to kind of be like to advance in this story? Like what do you think of for a sequel? Do you think this is like does this also beat like the original like expectations of the original Horizon Zero Dawn?
It's hard for me to say definitively just because I haven't completed the story, and for me, the story is part of the overall experience.
Mm,
But as far as I mean, it feels like old times. It feels like revisiting a friend. You're going to be, if you played the first one, you're going to be familiar with this. Although I feel like the controllers have always kind of been a little wonky with this game. It's a little funky. Um,
mm,
but once you get back into it, you're just like, oh yeah, it's like riding a bike. But I mean, again, if you enjoyed the first one, you're gonna enjoy this one. There's new elemental changes. There are some different mechanics. There's some old mechanics. There's a lot of what you enjoyed from the first
mm,
one, as far as just the climbing, the scenery, the sound design of this. Absolutely stunning. That
mm,
is by far one of the biggest highlights is looking at this, playing it on the 4K or playing it in wearing headphones. Absolutely, they did an absolutely stellar job. I do feel though that with this game, I feel that they just took what was good from the last one and brought it back and enhanced it, which is a good thing. Where I feel it missed the mark was that I feel that they really could have taken advantage of the PlayStation 5 technology even more. And I would have liked to have seen them push the boundaries and really make
mm,
this not only, I mean, just that it could have been a staple for the PlayStation 5. It incorporates all these great new features from that system into this game, and I feel like they missed the mark in regards to really being able to utilize the technology. Again, it's a great game. I just feel like they could have pushed the boundaries a little more, within this game and utilizing the technology that's available.
I will
right.
say, for someone who played I would say 17 hours on remote play. The quality on remote play is trash compared to sitting in front of a 4K. Adam
Well,
commented because it was on our
given.
TV, and he was gonna switch to Netflix because he was done with work. He was gonna lay down, and so he was able to see what I was doing on the TV, obviously. And
Mm.
then he came in here to ask me a question. He goes, "Oh, this looks like trash compared to what the TV looks like." I was like, "I know, it's not as great. Like it's just not as crisp." So if you play, don't do remote play. Enjoy it
You
on
shouldn't.
a
I'm
4K
surprised
TV.
that you did do remote play. I was like, wow,
Well,
this is
I
yeah.
had to as well
'Cause-
because baby sleeps in the bedroom, so
Yeah.
like she's going in there for a nap every like 2 hours, hour and a half
You
to two
can't.
hours, like, and I can't just not have to or have
Right.
to keep getting up and then going back. So a lot of it I spent playing on remote play as well, and I would agree it's definitely not as favorable of an experience. It's not going to be obviously,
Yeah.
but I mean I have it the best way that I can. It's like it was just hard for me to not do it without being able to play as much as I'd like to play it. Because I can't just sit and
Mhm.
have a little session. This isn't a go in, play for an hour and hop away. Like I need to be able to
Oh no, no.
dedicate some hours to being able to just go in and dive deep and do
Mhm.
all the things that I want to do.
Yep.
Mhm.
Agreed.
Yeah, well, like for me overall, like how the whole like how this game kind of stands up to me. I don't want to say I'm disappointed. The story at the ending of this game is weird. I will say that comparatively to where they're
Smitty's
leaving
not gonna
off.
listen.
I'm not I'm not
Okay.
going to say anything. I'm just
Okay.
gonna say it
Okay.
to that extent. It is
Okay.
weird comparatively, in my opinion. And then I'm gonna wait because when DLC comes out, I'm probably gonna get the DLC. And that is
Right.
saying something because I don't usually buy DLC games, like anything on DLC, like
Right.
from it 9 times out of 10. But like I definitely want to get the DLC on it, but to see maybe if they explain a little bit more on what they were talking about. But I will say this that the I think the game does a poor job on their organization skill of the weapons, in my opinion. I think it like because like one of the biggest issues I had was they gave you the wheel of
Mm-hmm.
for your weapons, right? But they give you so much options. Like for instance, there was a slingshot specifically for the chill blast, and then there was a slingshot specifically for
And
the
I don't know
goo
why
and
they
then the
did that.
fire. That
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, like why can't you consolidate that stuff into one specific thing?
And
Drove
you
Or
get
the
nuts.
particular
yeah,
ammo. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
why? Like yeah.
And it was hard to
It drove me
switch because it was like
it's
right next to each
yeah,
other. Ugh.
use the wheel towards it or like
Uh-huh.
or what's even worse was like you have to use a completely different short bow for fire arrows for your to replace for your acid arrows. Then when you get the crossbow that's on your arm, that's the one that allow you to use your elemental ability, your elemental ones. It's like why are y'all
Yeah.
basically like micromanage your stuff so small to kind of make it really irritating to be like, okay, here's a bow. Like, because the original one was simple: short bow, long sniper
Right.
bow, and then the other thing, trip caster and stuff like that. This one was like, okay, this one had this is the cannon one. This is the one for the slingshot, the sling thing. This is the one that allows you to do shields and stuff. Like their organizational skill for that was so freaking messy. It really turned me off on that, and I got annoyed because I ended up deciding to do my main two was the sniper's bow and the bow. I didn't care about any of the other stuff. I did the traps, and then that was it.
Right.
So they did a horrible job on the organization for the weapons and stuff. Like I don't know what happened with that itself.
Did
Uh
you also have issues when you would go to craft more traps that you would accidentally set one down? Because that happened to me several times.
well, I did accidentally do that, but at least it gives you enough time. It does give you enough time to be like, oh, just roll the roll, then they'll cancel the statement, the thing, and then
Oh.
and do it because you have to hold down, and then you do the thing. But but yeah, or the what's even better is like when you're making traps, but then you're fighting an enemy, and then you're just like everything's in cut time, and then you're just like, okay, I'm making this stuff like this, and then boom. but yeah, 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 I don't know. It just feels like it was a mess. It was a little sloppy when they did all of this with the with setting up like with the weapon systems and stuff like that. So that kind of really kind of that a bunch of them. I think that definitely has room for improvement. Now, gameplay wise, I don't really have my criticisms on it. I enjoyed fighting in that game. I really
Yeah.
did enjoy fighting when we were playing in it, especially with the melee shots and stuff.
Same.
Yeah, so like it was still fun. It was still like you could sneak. You had the choice to sneak. You didn't have to sneak, but if you did, you
I
still could do it.
sucked at it.
Yeah, yeah, you can fight these ridiculous monsters like the bear, the mechanical bears, the mechanical stuff like that. Like all this stuff was really crazy in this, which is really fun. And then you could also limit yourself towards it. So I'll give it that the gameplay of it was fun. Story, I'm 50-50 with, so I'm kind of mediocre with it. So I kind of see where it was going on the path, but I'm kind of stretching myself to say if I why should I care? And that's and I don't want to be mean about it because like that's what I think, and I think that's what it is. It's like but I loved the thing I think I loved about Horizon Forbidden West was exploring, because the
Yeah.
exploring in it, there was just so much to do in it. There was so much exploratory stuff to do in this game. Like it was cool to kind of get to do these things like, oh, like find the maps of like what did this thing used to be, then you find
Mhm.
out what it is and stuff like
Yeah.
that. There's just, yeah, all these different things, the black boxes that you see from the planes, that you also had to get all the different, like the little side stuff really made it really fun. And then the cool diversity of, like you were saying originally, with the diversity of the world, that it wasn't just like, I mean, it was all different types of ethnicities in this one, like
Mhm.
black, Asian, like white and stuff. Although ironically enough, I always thought like what happened to indigenous? Because like I
Yeah.
feel like I feel like it was kind of weird to be like, okay, so you have the Tanakh and stuff like that, the different kinds of tribes, and you also have like even Nora, like even Aloy's group. It's like there was no
Yeah.
indigenous kind of people towards that, but that's just nitpicking overall. But like like there could be more, I guess I could say more adversity, because I mean you're basically got this idea from indigenous tribes
Right.
initially.
Right.
You should
Hello.
you should at least, like,
Yeah.
give someone a knock to it,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I'm just saying. But like but yeah, I think the game is good, is good. Now I think it's so hard to say is if it's better than Last of Us 2 for me. I think it is better than Last of Us 2 for me. But
Bold
yeah, you know what?
statement.
I will say,
It is.
well,
I would
dude, no, it's
disagree.
not really a bold statement. Like, I know y'all two loved Last of Us 2. I did not like Last of
I
Us
know.
2 comparatively. But like, no, I think it would. I think it is. I would advise. I think I would say this is a must. This is definitely a must play, though. I will
Yeah.
say this is definitely a must play for anyone to be playing this game. But they
I
would love it.
want to replay it with the co-pilot. I think that would be really interesting to play with the co-pilot, because I found a lot of times during combat, for whatever reason, I knew that like my remote play kept disconnecting for some reason, and so maybe that
Mm-hmm.
played a part in it. But even when
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't, and I was playing on, because we have like a little ottoman, and I can sit like 2 feet from the TV, so I'm close enough that I can see things. And I felt like my timing would be off. I would press a button, and
There's a delay.
there
There's a
was a
delay on the
delay,
remote.
and
Yeah.
and that was when I wasn't playing remote play. So I
Oh
found that
no.
that
Okay.
maybe when if I played it in Copilot, maybe that would be a little different. I'm also interested to see how that works, just in
Hmm.
general, especially for someone like myself. Maybe I missed something that he sees, and that he can kill the squirrel or find the freaking owls that I couldn't find. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but overall, I still like Last of Us 2, but that was also a world that I was more immersed into, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that I didn't enjoy this game, I thought it was beautiful, I think it was beautifully done. I agree with the weapons, that it was a little sloppy, that could have been done better, because during combat, you hit him with an acid arrow, and then you're supposed to switch back to your normal arrow, and I would have trouble doing that, and then I'd keep hitting them with acid arrows, which isn't really what your end goal is there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was having some trouble with that. And then also with close combat, I would hit the R2, which is supposed to be more of a powerful swing. and
Mhm.
it would totally miss my target. I'm like, they're marked. How am I missing? I know they're moving as well as I am. But you kind of have this ability to almost like slow down time so that you can, if you ran out of arrows, you can make those arrows quickly and dodge out of the way, etc., etc. But I found that at times where my mark was perfect, that I still couldn't hit them. And so I think playing with the co-pilot for me might yield a better result in that aspect, because I'm not saying that I am a perfect gamer in any way, shape, or form. I obviously have things that I need to be able to change for me to see properly, and I wasn't able to do that. And I think with the co-pilot, I might have a better experience. So I'm kind of interested once he's done with his new releases, if he'll want to sit down and co-pilot with me, and we could enjoy it together. I think I did like the end storyline. It went a little more
Mhm.
sci-fi for me than I thought it would, and
It
I
really did.
enjoyed that.
Mhm. No, I mean, I think it did. I think it did. I think that's what it was. I was expecting. But when you really think about it, I mean, this is like in the distant future
Right.
of everything that's happened. So it's and then everything that has happened. It's the possibility because it basically, God, these some selfish son of a bitches basically caused all of this essentially. So but what about you, Smitty? What do you say overall? Like, what do you think of of the of Horizon?
Yeah, this is, I mean, again, this is a must play, especially if you've played the first one. You're going to enjoy this. You're not going to not have a good time. And I think this is, it's good for newer people as well. I'm excited for, I'll be excited for DLC, and I can't wait to actually flesh through and get through the rest of the story. But for me, this is really an explorer's and collector's delight. That is what this
Mhm.
game is about. And if you enjoy games like that, you're going to enjoy this because it is huge. It's in areas and biomes that you're familiar with. You get mechanical animals that you're familiar with, so it's cool seeing them in that. It's got it, it hits a lot of right notes. I did think it similar to what you guys are saying. The weapon system was I feel like that was unnecessary. They overcomplicated it when it comes to
Mhm.
having all these different little architect as far as these builds. Like, look, dude, like I only need certain weapons. Half these things I'm not even gonna use because it's too much of a pain to even switch over to them. I'm just gonna work with my bread and butters, and that's what we're gonna do. But
Yeah.
some of the arena stuff and things like that, like I definitely feel like that stuff is worth it in doing. So this is definitely a game. It's like, even though the story's there, I feel like this is as much of a game of going and doing the side quests, doing the little mini games, the this and that. There's so much of it that to me is part of the experience and why I enjoyed the first one. So,
Mhm.
if this is, I mean, clearly this is a must have game and highly worth getting. So that's where
Yeah.
I sit.
I will say I really enjoyed the swimming. I thought that was
That was a
just
nice dynamic.
at first, especially with like the water where it was green underneath, like moss had taken effect in the water. It was a little harder for me to get my bearings at first, but I really enjoyed getting in the rivers and collecting and swimming, and that was enjoyable for me. And
Yeah.
I like swimming in real life, but it felt natural, if
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense. In a lot of games, like that stuff is clunky
It's
and you
rough.
run down
Yeah.
the stair and it's a whole thing. But with this, it felt simple. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
at first it took me a minute to get the buttons right, but once I did, it was like, "Oh, this is beautiful." And I would spend way too much time in the water even though there was nothing for me to get. I was just diving down and coming back up and exploring the fish, and I thought it was beautiful. And then it would, "Lex, you're not supposed to be doing that right now. Come on, get out of the water and do what you're supposed to do." It's like, "No, they can't get me in here. This is nice." But I really enjoyed the swimming. I thought that was done absolutely beautifully.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. So like, I mean, so overall, like, I think we're kind of unanimous. Like, it's a good game. And I think it's a definitely a must play, for folks to expect into it. It does definitely have its its weird kinks and stuff, but but overall, it's still a one to to experience. So
I will
so yeah,
also
so
mention you guys keep saying the DLC, but they set it up for a third one. They
well, there's definitely
really
going to be a third
did.
one.
Yeah,
There's
there'll be
going
a
to
third
be a
one.
third
Yeah.
one, and I'm interested in how that's going to play out because now it's gone from one, I'm trying not to skirt for Smitty, from
Yeah.
one thing to another, and I'm very intrigued how the third one will play out. I mean, DLC great, awesome, but the third one, they've set it up beautifully for that
Yeah, but we
easily.
won't see
Well,
a
I
third
feel
one
like
for a while though.
yeah,
No,
Yeah,
I feel
years. This
like
is years
even with the
out.
DLC,
that's
DLC
what.
would probably be a bridge into,
Yeah,
if it's anything like what they did with the first, and then like going into Wildlands and then into this, it'll be just kind of an extension of that story, and bridging from how this one ends to how eventually they kick off the third one, probably.
right. Exactly. So who knows? But yeah, but that's cool. But yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for this conversation. The conversation we had here. It was an awesome, fun experience as always. I want to try to do more of these if we can,
Yeah.
but we'll definitely do that. But guys, you definitely thanks for listening. If we made it easier for you to decide if you're wanting to try to mess around with this game, I'm glad that we did a service to you on that. But be sure to definitely check us out here on the CFG, or just go check out every week on the CFG Gamecast for our weekly discussions of gaming. So once again, this is Davis, Lex, and Smitty signing off. Y'all take it easy.
Bye.